I beg your pardon. Do you prefer to walk? We're right here. It's very simple. Straight down the Corniche, then left. Jojo, see the gentleman out.
You know, there is a certain kind of movie that only works in the wintertime. Not Christmas movies, not just snowbound horror movies, not just like ski resort movies, but just winter movies. The kind you'd watch on a cold afternoon or stumble onto on cable or revisit years later and realize, oh wow, this movie used to be a part of my life and I watched it every winter. These aren't the movies that you forgot because they were bad. You forgot them because time moved on and they were kind of centered in the winter season, and that can easily get lost. But not today. Today we're going to talk about some classic wintertime movies you forgot about. Movies that will still hit when the snow is on the ground and the world slows down. So pop that tape in. I got you. Let's go do this. All right, so wintertime movies you forgot about. Let's fix that right now, starting out with Iron Will. Iron Will is one of those movies that used to be everywhere. Set during a brutal sled dog race in the late 1800s, it follows a young man who enters the competition to save his family after his father's death. The movie is pure winter endurance. I mean, there's snowstorms, frozen lakes, frostbite, sheer willpower. It's not flashy, super sincere though. It's the kind of movie that I used to always be convinced this was based on a true story, and I can't tell you if it was or not, but it has that kind of impact. It played endlessly on VHS and TV because it was inspirational without being corny or cringe today, family friendly but not childish. It was deeply tied to winter and not as a gimmick. It's got a lot of quiet motivation to it. January, winter energy at its best. Iron Will. And then there is A Simple Plan. Now, this is one of the coldest feeling winter movies ever made in a lot of ways, because I'm not just talking about because of the snow. It's set in a literally frozen small town, and the story follows just three ordinary people who find a crashed plane full of money and slowly destroy themselves trying to keep it. The winter setting here absolutely matters, and it is at the forefront. The silence, the cold, the isolation. It feels like the cold is closing in on you, and the movie was on cable a lot, but this is one that was a VHS and like DVD style legend. This is Sam Raimi. It hits even harder now. There's a beautiful 4K restoration of it by Arrow Video. I would highly recommend. You really feel the snow, but it reminded us that winter movies aren't necessarily cozy. They can kind of be suffocating. This one is pretty intense. Check out A Simple Plan. Now, the next one is going to be a blast from the past for a lot of you, but I saw this one on TV a lot growing up. It is Jeremiah Johnson, and this is a winter movie that feels like a survival myth, like a big myth. And you've got Robert Redford, who plays a man who really just abandons civilization to go live in the mountains and discovers that nature doesn't care about your intentions and what you're planning on doing. The movie moves kind of slow. So like I remember the made for TV edit or the cuts on TV where they edited it out. So, you know, it might have got cut down a lot. That's where I remember watching it the most. But it's a very intentional movie. Robert Redford, of course, one of the greats. Plenty of snow, silence, beautiful scenery, and the distance is part of the storytelling in this one. This is the kind of movie that your dad or your grandfather were definitely going to stop when they turned it and that was on. It's like, oh, it's all over. We're watching Jeremiah Johnson. The kids watched it without fully understanding. It was like this big ass guy, you know, out here in the woods, but they didn't really complain about it. It was about not about conquering nature so much as respecting it and understanding the brutality of nature itself. Jeremiah Johnson, a lost one a little bit. You can check it out. I believe it's on Tubi right now as I record this. Check it out. Pay your respects to Robert Redford as Jeremiah Johnson. And then there is White Fang. White Fang is pure winter adventure nostalgia, 100%. This is a VHS legend. Heck, we watched this thing in school. They wheel the TV in there and you would watch it. And it's set in the Yukon during the gold rush. And it follows a young man and a wolf as they try to survive the harsh conditions of all this together. This movie was a staple on TV, VHS, and in those school libraries. We watched it. I have vivid memories. Back in the old days, kids, they would wheel a TV, CRTV strapped to a cart. They'd wheel that thing in and have a VCR on there, and we would watch it. White Fang was like a treat. And the snow isn't just a background here. It's part of the obstacle that has to be overcome. And it's the kind of movie that you want to sit and watch wrapped up in a blanket. You know, you could halfway pay attention to this one if you're busy and still kind of engage with it and remember it forever. White Fang. Now, next up on the list is one that I'm going to be honest, I just discovered for myself not that long ago in the Criterion Collection. It is the Grand Budapest Hotel. And the Grand Budapest Hotel might not seem like a movie that you would think of as wintertime, but it absolutely is. You've got snow-covered mountains, the sort of icy pastel colors in here that kind of partly tell the story, and the sense that the world of this movie is somewhat frozen in time. That's the feeling I got from it. This is actually the film that kind of made me want to do this list, this and one other film on here. But the movie feels like a story that's told during wintertime, reflective, nostalgic, sad, about memory and kind of legacy and about things slipping away. And that's sort of why it fits in the wintertime, particularly early in the wintertime, like January. I think it fits nicely here. Maybe it's an off the board kind of pick and you would argue with me a little bit, but I think it's one that you want to take a look at, and this is the time of year to do it, the Grand Budapest Hotel. Now, next up, we have a winter movie disguised as a supernatural thriller with The Dead Zone. Now, this is Christopher Walken, Stephen King put together in this, and Christopher Walken plays a guy who gets in an accident and goes into a coma and wakes up from a coma years later with psychic abilities and slowly realizes that the knowledge he possesses can be a curse. And in this thing, winter is like maybe not the point of this movie, but winter is undoubtedly permeating the entire film. It's cold, it's gray, it's snowy, big coats, snowy streets, cold small towns, isolation that reflects the isolation that he begins to feel with these newfound powers that kind of separate him from everyone else. Now, this movie was on cable and TV forever. There's a beautiful 4K restoration of this by Scream Factory that I highly recommend, because this movie is quiet, it's thoughtful, it doesn't rush, it's very deep, it's a well-done Stephen King adaptation in the snow, a perfect example of how winter settings can amplify the mood and the plot of a story and a film. The Dead Zone, a high recommend. Now, the next one might get some argument, but I'm going to stand by the fact that this counts, and it is The Empire Strikes Back. And I say this is a list that you forgot because maybe you forgot how much there is winter vibes in The Empire Strikes Back. The Empire Strikes Back opens on Hoth for a reason. It's cold. It is snowbound for sure. You got to get on your tauntaun and try to go out there and save Luke Skywalker. Endless snow, endless cold, loss, battling the elements, battling the darker forces of our nature. The Empire Strikes Back is one of the best films ever made. It's definitely one of the 100 best films ever made and the best Star Wars film ever made, in my opinion. And it is sort of the winter chapter of Star Wars. The heroes don't win. Things go dark, cold, things fall apart, the tone gets heavier. The opening act alone is burned itself into pop culture memory. Han Solo on the tauntaun, the big jacket, the ice, the snow, the cold, the winter battle. This movie played constantly on VHSs after it finally left the theaters. It was on VHS forever, then TV, and every time it came on, it felt like an event, and people stayed. Because winter movies are often about endurance, and The Empire Strikes Back is no exception. I will argue it fits here. Maybe you forgot that it does, and that's why it's on this list. And then there's some sort of forgotten winter comfort films like Grumpy Old Men. Listen, frozen lakes, ice fishing, small town routines in the cold. At its core, the movie is about aging and friendships and stubbornness, and it's all wrapped up in humor and wintertime setting. This is the kind of movie this like a light Sunday afternoon style movie, and you can watch it without very much effort. It's endlessly enjoyable. It's funny and it's warm, but it is still very much a winter setting movie. But it reminds you that those movies, even winter settings in snow and ice fishing and with some heavy topics overall, can still be humorous, fun, and comforting. Grumpy Old Men had to be on this list. And then I have one that's wrapped up in winter nostalgia that you would probably not think of, but maybe after I mention it, you'd be like, oh yes, I forgot that, but it makes sense for wintertime. It's Coming to America with Eddie Murphy. Snowy New York streets, cold, you can see their breath, giant heavy coats, all the way through the movie. It is filled with snow, cold. There's multiple outside scenes where they're freezing. You see their breath, you see the snow, all that stuff. Everybody's bundled up the entire movie. This movie, it was on all the time, number one. This is one of my favorite Eddie Murphy movies. It's replayed. It's endlessly quoted. You've got the accent, all that stuff, the McDowells, the sexual chocolate, all this stuff. Everything works in this movie to perfection. It's joyful, it's comforting, and tied to the feeling of being outdoors in the cold, in the winter, in the big city. All this stuff happening outside, it belongs here. If you forgot, let me remind you, Coming to America, and it comes in at number 2 on our list. And then there is Cliffhanger. And Cliffhanger is a winter spectacle of a blockbuster film with Sylvester Stallone. Setting, is in the snowy, freezing cold Rockies. The movie's about survival, guilt, and redemption for Stallone's character. Starts off with one of the riskiest stunts and sequences in movie history. Yes, they were very high up in the air. Real locations, all the other stunts are real rock climbing, real danger, real cold, real snow, and you feel it in a tactile way that a green screen will never duplicate. It lets you feel the winter. The snowstorms are not atmosphere in this movie. They are legitimate threats, and they're out there in the cold, and it just adds something to it. This movie was not only a VHS staple in the 90s, it became a TV and cable staple. It looks incredible, filmed all this snow scenery and mountains. It felt physical, dangerous, cold. You could feel the cold. It made everything more intense, just like the winter snow. Stallone absolutely awesome in this movie. Cliffhanger comes in at number 1. And that's why, winter movies, they just stick with us because winter slows everything down. It makes us slow down and be reflective and kind of just go with the flow a little bit more and embrace that time when we're supposed to settle down and be a little slower. The films on this list, they're not about hype. They're about mood, endurance, feelings, reflection, and vibes, just like winter. Maybe that's why some of them you forget belong in this time, but rediscover them here. Check them out. Let me know what your favorite wintertime movie is that people don't talk about enough. I would love to check out some more this winter, so drop it in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. If you like what we're doing here and you want to support me a little bit more, help the channel grow, you can join my Patreon. The link is in the description description. You'll get your name and lights on every single video, behind the scenes looks at my film making, members only videos, 4K deep dive reviews in physical media, and so much more. And it all supports this channel. Share a video, spread the word, help us get out there, and I really do appreciate it. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. It's Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. I know.